of the Afterworldsmen. Once Zarathustra, too, cast his deluded fancy beyond mankind, like all Afterworldsmen. Then the world seemed to me the work of a suffering and tormented God, coloured vapour before the eyes of a discontented God. Good and evil, and joy and sorrow, and I and you, I thought them coloured vapour before the Creator's eyes. The Creator wanted to look away from himself, so he created the world. It is intoxicating joy for the sufferer to look away from his suffering and to forget himself. Intoxicating joy and self-forgetting. That is what I once thought the world. This world, the eternally imperfect, the eternal and imperfect image of a contradiction, an intoxicating joy to its imperfect creator. That is what I once thought the world. Thus I too once cast my deluded fancy beyond mankind, like all Afterworldsmen. Beyond mankind in reality? Ah, brothers, this God which I created was human work and human madness, like all gods. He was human and only a poor piece of man and ego. This phantom came to me from my own fire and ashes. That is the truth. It did not come to me from the beyond. What happened, my brothers? I, the sufferer, overcame myself. I carried my own ashes to the mountains. I made for myself a brighter flame. And behold, the phantom fled from me. Now, to me, the convalescent, it would be suffering and torment to believe in such phantoms. It would be suffering to me now and humiliation. Thus I speak to the Afterworldsmen. It was suffering and impotence that created all afterworlds, and that brief madness of happiness that only the greatest sufferer experiences. Weariness, which wants to reach the ultimate with a single leap, with a death leap, a poor, ignorant weariness which no longer wants even to want. That created all gods and afterworlds. Believe me, my brothers, it was the body that despaired of the body, that touched the ultimate walls with the fingers of its deluded spirit. Believe me, my brothers, it was the body that despaired of the earth, that heard the belly of being speak to it. And then it wanted to get its head through the ultimate walls, and not its head only, over into the other world. But that other world, that inhuman, dehumanized world, which is a heavenly nothing, is well hidden from men, and the belly of being does not speak to man except as man. Truly, all being is hard to demonstrate. It is hard to make it speak. Yet tell me, brothers, is not the most wonderful of all things most clearly demonstrated? Yes, this ego, with its contradiction and confusion, speaks most honestly of its being, this creating, willing, evaluating ego, which is the measure and value of things. And this most honest being, the ego, it speaks of the body, and it insists upon the body, even when it fables and fabricates and flutters with broken wings. Ever more honestly it learns to speak, the ego, and the more it learns, the more it finds titles and honours for the body and the earth. My ego taught me a new pride. I teach it to men. No longer bury the head in the sand of heavenly things, but to carry it freely, an earthly head which creates meaning for the earth. I teach mankind a new will, to desire this path that men have followed blindly, and to call it good, and no more to creep aside from it like the sick and dying. It was the sick and dying who despised the body and the earth, and invented the things of heaven and the redeeming drops of blood. But even these sweet and dismal poisons they took from the body and the earth. They wanted to escape from their misery, and the stars were too far for them. Then they sighed, "Oh, if only there were heavenly paths by which to creep into another existence and into happiness." Then they contrived for themselves their secret ways and their draughts of blood. Now they thought themselves transported from their bodies and from this earth, these ingrates. Yet to what do they owe the convulsion and joy of their transport? To their bodies and to this earth. Zarathustra is gentle with the sick. Truly he is not angry at their manner of consolation and ingratitude. May they become convalescents and overcomers, and make for themselves a higher body. Neither is Zarathustra angry with the convalescent if he glances tenderly at his illusions, and creeps at midnight around the grave of his god. But even his tears still speak to me of sickness and a sick body. There have always been many sickly people among those who invent fables and long for God. They have a raging hate for the enlightened man, and for that youngest of virtues which is called honesty. They are always looking back to dark ages. Then, indeed, illusion and faith were a different question. Raving of the reason was likeness to God, and doubt was sin. I know these godlike people all too well. They want to be believed in, and doubt to be sin. I also know all too well what it is they themselves most firmly believe in. Truly, not in afterworlds and redeeming drops of blood. They believe most firmly in the body, and their own body is for them the thing in itself. But it is a sickly thing to them, and they would dearly like to get out of their skins. That is why they hearken to preachers of death, and themselves preach afterworlds. Listen rather, my brothers, to the voice of the healthy body. This is a purer voice, and a more honest one. Purer and more honest of speech is the healthy body, perfect and square-built, and it speaks of the meaning of the earth. Thus spoke Zarathustra.